Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Spotlight. I'm Melanie McKibbin from ActionCOACH, and today I'm really excited to have Malisa Clarence from MBooks. Melissa, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me on.
It is my absolute pleasure. Now, full disclosure to everybody watching, Melissa and I first met 4 years ago. You've just reminded me. When we sat next to each other randomly at a Women in Business, what was it? It was like a weekend retreat.
Yep. Any excuse to stay in a city hotel.
Oh, that's right. I got the train home. You stayed in at the Hilton. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your business. What is it that you guys do at MBooks?
Well, at MBooks, we are cloud bookkeepers. So we look after small businesses all around Australia. From the compliance side of things, so all the stuff that no business owner ever wants to have to do, but it is like absolutely essential that you do it for the survival of your business. So everything from zero setups to talking about processes in your business around your accounting, and getting you all the way along that sort of accounting journey to lodgement of your BAS, and then hand over an amazingly clean file to your accountant at the end of the year to get your tax return done.
Nice. And another full disclosure, I am a client of yours.
Yes.
It is such a relief to go at the end of the quarter. The BAS is ready to go, and there's one thing I can't remember how to code, and you guys fix it up. It's so easy.
Absolutely.
So what's your role in your business? Do you have a team?
Yeah, so I was the founder, and for a very long time it was just me as a sole trader. When you then throw young children into that mix as a small business owner, you quickly realize that you can't do everything. So about 9 years ago, I decided to start building my team around me. And that was a journey. It was a roller coaster. I'd never employed people before. All of my clients had a very personal relationship with me, so it was very difficult to sort of say, hey, it's not me anymore, it's other people. So now I have a team of 3 exceptional bookkeepers, all in Australia, all based in either New South Wales or Queensland, and we just manage all of the client work between the team. I'm still very active in most of the clients. I believe that I need to sort of keep that rapport. I don't want to just sort of outsource it to the 3 of them. So basically I just sit on top now. I don't do much bookkeeping anymore. I feel like I'm a bit of a conductor, and there's an orchestra, and I'm sort of moving things around. I think I've got a good balance. My children are now my baby's about to start school on Thursday. So I definitely think that it was the right decision to bring that team on board, and it just allows me to have a much better work-life balance. And it allows me to enjoy what I do now, because I'm not just grinding, I'm not just getting the work done, and I'm stressed out all the time because I've reached the limit of my hours in the week. So yeah, it's good. I'm happy, and I really love my staff. They're amazing ladies, and we all work really well together as a team. So I'm very lucky.
Awesome. Now you mentioned your clients in there. Who is your ideal client?
So we love looking after small businesses that are they're not big enough to have an accounts department internally, but they are they're getting to the point where they don't want to do their own bookkeeping. I mean, nobody wants to do their own bookkeeping. That's just straight off the bat. You all think I'm boring. You all think accounts are boring. I get it. It's so important. It's so important. We're not flashy like marketing consultants, but we do a really good job. Look, at the beginning of a small business journey, I think it's really important that a business owner understands inside out how their accounts work. And then as soon as they get that understanding, outsource it to somebody like me. And when they get big enough, have an internal accounts department. But having that original knowledge about how your accounts work means that you can effectively outsource it. So my ideal client is that small to medium business that isn't large enough to warrant their own internal accounts department. And yeah, we work with all types of industries, sole traders through to companies and family trusts.
And the other thing, this is something I learned during my journey as a business owner, is that whilst there's state laws and around different things, when it comes to what you do, it doesn't matter what state your client's in, you can help them, can't you?
Yeah, that's right. And look, we are across most state laws anyway, because there are state things that do impact small businesses around things like payroll tax and different, insurance policies in different states and that sort of thing. So it doesn't matter that we're New South Wales based. We understand the legislation in each state. But yeah, generally bookkeeping as a whole is a federal type thing because it's relating to GST and tax law and things like that. But yeah, there's nuance, and there's nuances industry to industry. Like a GP doctor's surgery is different to a plumber, and we understand how a GP operates over how a plumber would operate. So that's just all comes down to our experience and my experience of running this business for 22 years, maybe a little bit longer. So yeah, that's what you get when you outsource to a bookkeeping service rather than having like an internal employee. There's two reasons why sometimes it's better to outsource. One is that employee will need to go on holidays at some point in their working year, and then you don't have anybody available. And two, they're just that one person. They're not networking with other people in the industry. And so that you can have a bit of a gap of knowledge there. So we're across all of that. We're constantly doing training and learning and we've got a big network of bookkeepers throughout Australia. So keeping up to date with information is definitely high on my priority list.
Yeah, awesome. So that C word, COVID, I kind of know how this affected you, but for the audience, how did that impact your industry and impact your business?
Look, I think we actually got the recognition that we don't usually get as bookkeepers. I think there is a tendency to think that what we do is like a cottage industry, like we're sitting in here with our knitting baskets and we're tapping away and doing data entry. When COVID hit and basically the federal government was on the hop about what they were going to do in terms of stimulus to the economy, what the state governments were doing, we were literally on Zoom meetings with our bookkeeping association, accounting associations every week, sometimes a couple of times a week, depending on the announcements. It was running on the fly and learning things as it was being told at a press conference. Scott Morrison would stand up and say, we're going to offer this. My phone would light up. All of my business, well, how do I get it? Like, what have I got to do? I'm like, well, literally, it's just been a press conference. In the next couple of days, the information will filter through, and then I will get in contact with you and tell you how to do it. So it was really, really stressful for me. Some of my businesses didn't survive. I felt the pain of every single one of them. I really felt sorry for what people were going through. My husband runs a gym. It was immediately closed. So I was dealing with it from a personal perspective as well as throughout my clients. I couldn't stop. It was such a busy time for me. Those people that got to do jigsaw puzzles, I envy them. Because I would have loved to have been able to just sit down and do a jigsaw puzzle for, whatever the first lockdown was.
Yeah.
I really had empathy for everybody that I was trying to help. And sometimes, I stopped billing people because they were financially crippled. And I didn't want to just let them go because they needed the stimulus packages just to survive. So it was a roller coaster. It was very, very stressful. And I think even a couple of years on, our industry is just still feeling the brunt of the fact that we just didn't stop, because it wasn't just one, it was 2 times. And a lot of small businesses now that things in the economy are kind of back to normal, they're still dealing with debt from that period, whether that be tax debt or, they had their rent held over and they're paying back that rent amount. So the effects are still being felt by a lot of small businesses, and, bookkeepers were at the forefront of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there was some desperate emails and phone calls that I sent your way, and I personally can't thank you enough during that time. But what sort of was there anything that or any actions that you took during the pandemic that you actually remain in your business now? Like, have there been any changes that you?
Well, when I first started bookkeeping, the the cloud wasn't around. The cloud kind of didn't exist. There was some parts of the cloud, like Dropbox might have been going, you had the internet, but nothing was really loaded onto the cloud like it is now. So a lot of my bookkeeping for the first 16 years or so was traveling to people's offices and sitting down at their desk and actually doing work. So once Xero became quite prominent in the market and everyone started to rely on cloud everything and comfortable with that, my business slowly transitioned then from turning up to your desk and doing your work in your office to doing everything from my home office. What COVID did for me was broke the ties completely of traveling to people's offices. And I'm grateful for that, because I live in Sydney and it's an absolute nightmare to drive anywhere here at the moment. There's just traffic. So it really freed me up to be able to actually take on more clients, because I wasn't spending so much time driving and, wasting that sort of commute in the car. And also, like, having everything working from home is definitely much better for my work-life balance. That 2 hours of commute that I would do to go and see somebody in their office, I could now, drop the kids to school or do some after-school activity or something like that. So for me, it was more around how I deliver my services to people, and everyone just becoming comfortable with the cloud.
Yeah, I think it definitely pushed people a lot quicker into the technology and the lifestyle that we have now of working from home. And I mean, I know part of the reason I've built my business how it is because I wanted that flexibility to live wherever I wanted to live. And now my husband can do that as well. He's moved his Sydney corporate job to the couch. Well, he does have a desk, but he's not having to drive 2.5 hours a day to get to and from.
Yeah.
So
I think, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, even on the flip side for my clients, it's as much as they probably liked the idea of having everything in the office. It also meant that I was taking up a desk and taking up a computer space and things like that. So often it's a two-way street. They don't have to allocate that time because the person's coming in. It can all sort of be done externally.
Yeah. So tell me, as a business owner, what's been your biggest learning?
I think for me, my biggest learning has been employment and HR. I guess it depends on what. So, when you're a sole person, and a lot of people start out that way, they start out as just you. You've got a business idea and you start your business. It's really easy to control yourself. It's you, and you have everything in your head, and you just know how to do your job. When you get to scale that business in any way, because everyone only has the same amount of hours in the week, and we can't work, longer than those hours, unless maybe some people do, but I don't recommend it. You've got to scale. So you've got to actually get that business that's in your brain that you just do with your eyes closed out into some sort of meaningful way to make sure that the business continues the way that you see it, but in somebody else's hands in your business. So I think for me, the employment journey was really difficult because I've never been in a position where I've had to employ people. I just want people to like me. So I don't know that I'm necessarily a good boss in terms of, communicating appropriately how I wanted things done. I just, I never wanted to upset people. So I've got a fantastic team now, but it took a long time to get there. And I did outsource. I used HR consultants, and I used different type of employment people to teach me the process of finding the right candidate.
Yeah.
Because those employees are a brand ambassador for your business. So you want them to have the same philosophy of business that you do in whatever it is that you do. You want those employees to sell your business as much as you do.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest journey for me was understanding the job roles, understanding letting go, and giving the responsibility to the staff members. And look, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think I'm in a good position now in terms of my team.
Good on you. Go you. Now, my favorite question, if you could go back in time, what's one piece of information that you'd give to yourself when you were first starting out in business?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. And I learn this from the mistakes of my small business owners as well. I think accept that you're going to make mistakes. Accept it. It's just a given. And I remember there were so many times where I would just be eating myself from the inside out because I'd made an error on somebody's work, and I thought it was the end of the day, and my business was going to like fall over. And really the way that you handle making the mistake and how you make up for it with the client is the most important thing. Be upfront, apologetic, put in a system that it doesn't happen again. And I think if I could just go back and tell myself that you're going to make mistakes, but you'll get up and move on from them, maybe it would have helped me. I still wouldn't have believed myself. I never believed. I feel like I'm one of those people. I just have to go through it to learn the lesson.
That's how I learned. Kinesthetic learner.
Yeah. So even if I was the time traveler's wife and I went back in time and I told myself that, I wouldn't have believed myself. I'd be like, what do you mean? I just go through and make the same mistakes anyway. So look, we all make mistakes. It's just part and parcel of the business, and handle them well, apologize up front, have an open discussion with the client or whoever you made the mistake with. We're all human, and then just keep moving forward. And look, a mistake is a way of learning, and it's where I am now. It's from all the mistakes that I've made.
Yeah, love it. Thank you, Malissa from MBooks, for joining us today and sharing your journey. We really appreciate your abundance in sharing your time and knowledge with us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.